All right, so are you ready to dive deep?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
This was pretty interesting, I think. It's called Moving Forward, and it's all about, well,
Taking the lead, right?
taking the lead in your life. Yeah. The full title is Moving Forward, Taking the Lead in Your Life by Dave Pelzer.
Oh, yeah, I know Pelzer. He wrote
Yeah, you probably know him from his
that incredible memoir about his childhood.
exactly, yeah, really powerful story.
Harrowing, yeah.
But this book, Moving Forward, this is different. This is like a whole new ball game.
Like a how-to guide almost, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a blueprint, he calls it, for anyone who wants to break free, stop feeling limited and really create the life they want.
And I think what makes it so compelling is that he's not just some like self-help guru
Right.
who's
Yeah.
never faced any real adversity.
Yeah, he's been there.
He's walked the walk. So he's combining like this deep personal wisdom from his own life with all the insights he's gained as a motivational speaker.
Yeah, exactly. It's like double the impact.
Yeah.
Because you're getting inspiration and practical advice all rolled into one.
Definitely.
So what we're going to try to do in this deep dive is pull out those like golden nuggets, the most valuable takeaways from moving forward so you can actually like use them in your own life to, well, to move forward.
Yeah, make some real changes.
And the thing that really stuck with me is Pilzer believes like no matter what you've been through,
It doesn't matter your path.
it doesn't matter. The power to change, to create a better future, it's already inside you.
That's a powerful idea. And he doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either. I mean, he starts right off the bat with letting go of the past.
Yeah, that's usually the hardest part, isn't it? We all have baggage.
Oh, absolutely. Past relationships, career setbacks, even just those nagging insecurities we all carry around.
Yeah.
He says holding on to all that is like dragging around an anchor
An anchor. Yeah.
that keeps you from moving forward.
It's weighing you down.
Exactly. And what's so interesting? He's a living example of this. I mean, his own childhood, as we mentioned, was incredibly traumatic.
It's almost hard to even fathom.
But instead of letting that define him, he uses it as a source of strength.
But how does he do that? How do you turn something so awful?
Well, he talks about actively reframing his experiences. Like, instead of seeing himself as a victim, he chooses to focus on the resilience he developed, the lessons he learned.
So he's choosing how he sees it.
Exactly. He even says those challenges gave him a unique perspective and a deeper understanding of human nature.
So instead of why me,
Yeah.
it's more like, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. And that's a huge mindset shift. And it applies to anyone, I think, no matter what they've been through.
Totally. Like even if you haven't faced something as extreme as what he went through, it's still about recognizing that even difficult experiences
Mm.
can teach us, shape us.
Right. And what's a crucial part of letting go? Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
I think we often think of forgiveness as something we do for other people.
Mm.
But Peltzer really, he emphasizes forgiving ourselves too.
Oh, he has a brilliant point about that. He says holding on to guilt and regret, it's like drinking poison
Oh,
and expecting the other person to die. It's only hurting us in the end.
wow. Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Powerful imagery, right?
It is. It really is.
And it's so true. We waste so much energy beating ourselves up over past mistakes.
So to our listeners out there, think about like what you might be holding on to, what's keeping you stuck.
Yeah, it could be resentment towards someone else, or even just that inner critic that's always putting you down.
Right. Like silencing that voice in your head.
Exactly. Letting go opens up space for something new, something amazing.
Yeah. And once you've let go of that past, then you can really start to focus on what you can control, right?
Absolutely. Your present, your future.
Which leads us to that next big idea from the book, taking radical responsibility.
Oh, yeah. This is where he doesn't mince words.
It's
Yeah.
like excuses.
He's all about personal accountability. He argues that blaming external factors, while tempting, it leads to stagnation.
Stagnation.
It's like saying, I'm not in control of my own life, and that's incredibly disempowering.
Yeah, you're just stuck.
He has a great analogy. He compares life to a game of cards.
A game of cards. Okay.
We don't always get to choose the hand we're dealt,
Right.
but we do get to decide how we play those cards. We can fold, we can bluff, or we can find creative ways to win, even with a seemingly bad hand.
Oh, I love that. I love that analogy.
Right.
Because, yeah, we've all been dealt a hand, right?
Right.
And some people have been dealt a worse hand than others.
Absolutely.
But it's how you play it.
It's how you play it. That's what matters. So, listener, are you feeling stuck in any area of your life? Where are you giving away your power?
Where could you take more ownership?
Right. And he gives this really powerful example from his own life. When he left the foster care system, he could have easily fallen into a victim mentality. He had every reason to.
He did, yeah.
But instead of blaming his past, he decided to focus on education, building a career. He didn't let those circumstances define him.
That's so powerful. It's that choice.
Yeah. We always have a choice.
So it's not pretending that things are easy. It's just saying, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. What am I going to do about it?
Exactly. Shift from passive to active. And that leads to action, which is the key to moving forward. So identify those areas where you can take control.
And then just take action.
Even if it's a small step.
Any step.
Small steps, yeah. And, speaking of action, one of the things that really struck me about Pelzer was his attitude toward change.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't just, tolerate it. He almost embraces it.
He does. It's almost like he welcomes it.
Yeah. He talks about change as an opportunity, not a threat.
Which is huge.
It's a huge shift in perspective. I think most of us instinctively resist change.
Because it takes us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah. But he's saying, what if we see change as a chance to grow, to learn, to, discover new possibilities? He even goes so far as to say that discomfort is a sign you're on the right track.
Yeah, discomfort, yeah.
He wants us to seek it out, fail forward. He says true growth happens when we push past our limitations.
And he actually has a personal example of this. He shares the story about joining the Air Force. Talk about stepping outside your comfort zone.
Oh, big time. And he learned so much from it. Discipline, teamwork, resilience. He had to adapt, overcome obstacles, push himself further than he thought possible.
Wow. So think about it. What change are you facing right now? Big or small? A new job? Relationship transition? Even just breaking a bad habit?
Yeah, we all have something.
How can you approach that change with more, openness? Curiosity?
Yeah, instead of dreading it, see it as a chance to level up in some way.
Yeah, yeah. And he actually gives us some really good advice. He says, change doesn't have to be overwhelming. Just break it down, right?
Into smaller, manageable steps.
Right. Don't overhaul your whole life at once. Focus on one small change at a time. Yeah. It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Love that.
We get so overwhelmed by the bigness of it all. But if you break it down,
It feels doable.
it feels doable, exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of taking action and all this talk about embracing change, it leads us to the big G goals.
Oh, here we go. Getting down to business.
And Pelzer is very specific about how to actually set and achieve those goals. The thing that surprised me is he says most people don't even write their goals down.
Really?
Yeah. He's a big believer in writing them down. Says it makes them real.
Oh, I can see that.
It's not just like a passing thought. It's like you're making a commitment.
Yeah, putting it out there.
He encourages a detailed plan, measurable goals, timelines, action steps.
Wow, organized.
He also says, break those big goals down, right?
Into smaller tasks.
And this is the part I love. Celebrate every win along the way.
Oh, that's so important.
It's like training for a marathon. You don't just show up and run 26 miles. You have a plan. You celebrate those milestones.
Right. Each milestone keeps you motivated.
Exactly. And we often forget that part. We're so focused on the end goal, we don't acknowledge the progress we're making.
And that's a recipe for burnout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So his whole approach is about setting yourself up for success, breaking it down, celebrating those wins. He even says reward yourself. It doesn't have to be anything big.
Just acknowledge the hard work. Keep yourself motivated.
So listeners, pop quiz. Think about your own goals.
Oh, good
Are
one.
they written down, broken down into steps?
Are you celebrating?
Are you celebrating those wins? Because it's all about progress,
Like
right?
the journey, not just the destination.
And since we are talking about creating the future, well, let's be real. Life isn't always smooth sailing, right?
No, it's not.
There's going to be challenges, setbacks, curveballs.
That's where resilience comes in.
Oh, resilience. So important, especially in today's world where everything feels so uncertain.
He's right. Challenges are inevitable. But the ability to bounce back, that's key.
That's what separates the thrivers from the survivors.
Exactly.
And he has some pretty incredible stories about overcoming obstacles in his own life. And what shines through is this unwavering determination. He refused to give up. He even says that setbacks are often blessings in disguise.
Oh, interesting.
Because they force us to reassess, adapt. We often discover strengths we didn't even know we had.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a reframing, right?
It is.
And one of the things that really stood out to me was the importance of having that support system. We don't have to go through this alone.
Oh, absolutely. Having people to lean on for encouragement, guidance,
Yeah, even tough love sometimes. It makes all the difference.
makes a world of difference. So, listener, do you have those people in your life who lifts you up, reminds you of your strength when you're doubting yourself?
Yeah, could be friends, family, mentors, even a therapist.
Right. Anyone who believes in you supports your growth.
And it's also about giving support.
Yeah, absolutely. Being part of a community, showing up for others like we want them to show up for us.
And then, of course, there's self-care, which is something, again, he emphasizes is part of that resilience building.
Taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. He has this great line in the book. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, that's good.
You can't show up for yourself or others if you're running on empty. So prioritize sleep, healthy food, exercise,
Stress management, right.
all of it.
And just as importantly, make time for things you enjoy, things that nourish your soul.
Yeah, whether it's being in nature, listening to music.
Creative hobbies, whatever fills you up.
Make it non-negotiable, part of your routine.
Because when you take care of yourself, you have more energy, more resilience to handle those challenges. And that leads us to the next stage moving forward, becoming a leader.
Leadership, okay. Interesting.
And when he talks about leadership, he's not talking about, being the boss.
Right. Or having some fancy title.
He's talking about something much deeper. It's about stepping up, setting an example, inspiring others, making a positive impact,
Like recognizing the leader within yourself.
regardless of your job, your status, whatever.
Exactly. He says true leadership isn't about power over others,
It's about empowerment.
empowering others to be their best.
And he really walks the walk with this. He mentors young people, advocates for child abuse prevention. He uses his own story to create change.
He's not just talking the talk.
He's doing it. And he believes each of us, in our own way, can be a leader.
It's not about having all the answers, being perfect.
It's about showing up authentically with our strengths and our flaws and inspiring others to do the same.
And sometimes the most powerful leadership is just living a life that's true to yourself, full of purpose, passion, making a difference.
Yeah, making a difference.
So here's a question for our listener. How can you use your experiences, your strengths to help others? What positive impact can you make?
That's powerful. That's something to really think about. And we can't talk about moving forward without talking about the power of a positive mindset. He really emphasizes this. Attitude is everything.
Yeah, he hammers that point home.
And again, it's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect.
Right, it's about choosing to focus on the good, even when things are tough.
Believing in your ability to overcome obstacles,
And he actually credits his own optimism as a key to his success.
especially during those really dark times.
He says even when things felt hopeless, he refused to give up, that things could get better.
And that belief, it helped him keep going.
It helped him create a better life.
And so to our listeners out there, let's get real. What are you focusing on most of the time? Are you dwelling on the negative, or are you actively seeking out the good? Because we create our reality with our thoughts, and the more we focus on what we want.
The more we attract it.
And then it's also about who you surround yourself with.
Oh,
Wow.
huge. Your mindset is shaped by the company you keep.
So be mindful of who you're letting into your inner circle. Are they bringing you down? Or are they lifting you up? Are they supporting your dreams? Or are they planting seeds that...
Yeah, but they have the power to choose. Choose wisely.
It all comes back to choice. We choose our thoughts, we choose our influences, and those choices ultimately determine how we move forward in our lives.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
You know, what's interesting about moving forward, it's not just a bunch of random, self-help tips,
Right.
It's more like he weaves these powerful themes together, almost creates a roadmap
A roadmap, yeah.
for personal growth, letting go of the past, taking responsibility, embracing change, all that stuff.
All connected.
Like pieces of a puzzle.
And they all fit together to create a more fulfilling life.
Exactly.
It's like he's saying, look, you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Just start with one piece, then another, and you'll see the whole picture. But I think at the heart of it all, what really resonates is we have more power than we realize.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not just victims of circumstance. We can choose a different path. Step into our power.
Create a better future.
Create a better future.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? I think that's the question, right?
It is. It can feel overwhelming.
It can feel overwhelming. A lot of people hear those messages and they're like, okay, but where do I begin?
Right, right. What's step one?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think his practical advice comes in.
Mm.
Like one of the things he emphasizes is starting small. And he tells a great story about after his first book came out, he was invited to speak at a school.
Oh, wow.
And he was terrified of public speaking.
Oh, I can relate to that.
But instead of letting that fear stop him, he broke it down, you know?
Into steps.
Yeah. Start practicing in the mirror, then with friends, then eventually worked his way up
Wow.
to speaking in front of bigger audiences.
So like baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we get stuck in this all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
We want to change everything overnight,
Right. And then we feel like a failure if we don't.
and then we give up.
Uh-huh.
But his approach is all about those baby steps,
Yeah.
those micro actions.
And they lead to big results over time.
They do. And he also says, celebrate those wins along the way.
Oh, that's so important. We forget to do that.
We do. We get so focused on the end goal.
It's like we're running a marathon, but we're not enjoying the scenery.
Yes, exactly. We're just miserable the whole way.
Then that's how you get burnt out.
So his advice is, break those goals down, celebrate those milestones, create a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, let those small wins fuel your motivation. Keep you going.
But what about those times when we hit a roadblock, when we feel stuck or afraid to take action?
He has a great saying for that. Action creates clarity.
Action creates clarity,
He's a big believer in just taking that first step.
even if you don't feel ready.
Even if you don't have all the answers. He says, motion creates emotion.
Motion creates emotion.
Okay. Meaning taking action, even imperfect action, it can help you overcome fear and doubt.
Like jumping into a cold pool, right? Oh, yeah. You can stand there forever thinking, oh, it's going to be so cold.
But you just got to jump in.
Just got to jump in. And then you realize it's not that bad.
And once you take that first step, the next one's easier. And then before you know it, you're swimming.
I love that analogy because it really does apply to so many things in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Starting a business, writing a book, even just having a tough conversation.
Anything you've been putting off.
Anything.
And he also reminds us, setbacks, they're part of the process.
Oh, for sure.
It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it, using it to grow.
He has a funny story about this. One of his early speaking engagements, he was so nervous he forgot his whole speech.
Oh, no.
He froze up, stammered a few words, and just walked off the stage.
Oh, that's brutal.
He was mortified. But instead of letting it crush him, he used it as a learning opportunity.
He's like, okay, I need to prepare more.
Exactly. He doubled down on practice, developed a system for memorizing his talks.
So it's about turning those setbacks into opportunities.
He actually says failure is a necessary part of success.
It's like Thomas Edison, right?
Oh, yeah. I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Exactly.
It's about seeing those setbacks as stepping stones, not roadblocks.
Stepping stones.
Yeah.
And that's where resilience comes in. It's not about being immune to challenges. It's about having that inner strength to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going.
Exactly. So when you hit a bump in the road, how do you pick yourself back up?
Well, he says one of the most important things is having that strong support system.
Oh, yeah, your people.
People you can turn to for encouragement, guidance,
And sometimes tough love.
sometimes tough love. He actually talks about after his first book became a bestseller, he was getting all these requests, interviews, speaking engagements.
Yeah, must have been a whirlwind.
And he started to feel overwhelmed, like he was losing himself.
Oh, I can see that happening.
And so he reached out to a mentor who gave him some really good advice. He said, Dave, success can be just as dangerous as failure if you let it define you.
Oh,
Stay grounded. Remember who you are, what's important.
that's powerful.
It is. It's about having those people who can keep you grounded, especially when things are crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not just about celebrating when things are good.
Right.
It's about having those people who will be there when you're struggling, who will remind you of your strength.
Encourage you to keep going.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
listener, who are those people for you? Who can you turn to when you need a boost? Who believes in you even when you doubt yourself?
And remember, it's not just about receiving support. It's about giving it too.
Right. Being part of a supportive community.
Yeah.
And, of course, self-care. That comes up again.
He talks about how important it is to take care of ourselves. Physically, mentally, emotionally. He even shares a story about how he was burning the candle at both ends.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. With his schedule.
Traveling constantly, speaking, writing, he was exhausted.
Oh, yeah. Burnout City.
He was pushing himself to the limit, and it was taking a toll.
So he knew something had to change. What did he do?
He started incorporating more self-care practices. Meditation, exercise,
Making time for things he enjoyed.
like hiking, spending time in nature.
That's so important because it's so easy to let that slip.
It is.
When we're busy, we're stressed.
But he reminds us taking care of ourselves isn't selfish. It's essential. He even says self-care is a form of self-respect.
Self-respect, I like that.
He has a great quote, self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the fuel that allows us to show up fully in our lives and make a positive impact.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
So listeners, what are you doing to fill your own cup?
Yeah, what brings you joy? What helps you recharge?
Make it a priority, even when things are busy.
Because when you take care of yourself, you have more energy, more resilience. And that brings us to another important aspect of moving forward, embracing our role as leaders.
Leadership. Okay, now when most people hear leadership, they think of like CEOs, politicians, people in charge.
Right, right.
But he has a much broader definition. He believes we can all be leaders, regardless of our job, our status.
He defines it as the ability to inspire and empower others to be their best, setting an example, living with integrity.
Making a positive impact.
Exactly. And he tells a really cool story about a janitor he met at one of his speaking events.
The janitor.
Yeah. This guy was so enthusiastic about his work, he inspired everyone around him. He took pride in keeping the building spotless, always had a smile. People would go out of their way to talk to him because he had this positive energy.
Wow, so it wasn't about his job title.
Not at all. And Pelzer was so impressed, he used him as an example in one of his speeches. He said, "This man may not have a fancy title, but he's a leader." He's showing us leadership isn't about position or power, it's about attitude and action.
It's about making a difference no matter how big or small.
And inspiring others to do the same.
So think about it. How can you be a leader in your own life?
Yeah, how can you use your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact?
It doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It could be mentoring a coworker, volunteering.
Just being a supportive friend.
Yeah, those everyday acts of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And here's something else that struck me. He emphasizes vulnerability.
Vulnerability in leadership.
Yeah, he says, true leaders aren't afraid to show their flaws, their imperfections.
He actually encourages us to embrace our imperfections.
Because it makes us relatable, human.
He says people are more likely to trust and follow someone who's authentic, genuine. Someone who doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
Yeah, because nobody does, right?
Exactly. We're all works in progress.
So it's okay to be vulnerable, ask for help.
Yeah.
And he talks about how important it is to surround yourself with people who will challenge you, help you grow.
Oh, that's huge.
True leaders are constantly learning, evolving. They seek out feedback, mentorship. So if you're feeling called to step into more of a leadership role,
At work, in your community.
even in your family,
Remember, it's okay to not have all the answers.
ask for help. Surround yourself with supportive people.
And most importantly, be yourself.
Be yourself. Authenticity is powerful.
People are drawn to those who are genuine, true to themselves.
So embrace your quirks, your passions. Those are the things that make you special.
And that will allow you to make a real impact.
And speaking of impact, one thing that stood out to me was his emphasis on finding your purpose.
Oh, purpose. That's a big one.
He believes we all have a unique purpose, something we're meant to do, contribute.
And that living that purpose is key to happiness, fulfillment.
But how do we find our purpose? He actually gives some good advice here, too.
Yeah, like what?
He says, start by asking yourself those deep questions.
Like,
What are you passionate about? What are your natural talents? What lights you up? What makes you feel alive?
those are good questions.
He also encourages us to think about things we're good at.
Even if they seem small.
Even if they seem small, sometimes our purpose is hidden in plain sight, you know?
In those things we enjoy.
The things that come naturally.
Yeah.
He tells a story about a woman he met, a stay-at-home mom, and she felt like she wasn't doing anything important
Oh, I've heard that from stay-at-home parents.
because she wasn't working outside the home. But he helped her see that she was a leader in her family,
Oh, wow.
raising the next generation. And that's a huge impact.
That is huge. So it's not about fitting into a certain mold.
No, it's recognizing that purpose can be found in so many different ways.
Right, right.
He also says, think about the problems in the world that you feel called to solve.
Oh, interesting.
What breaks your heart? What do you wish you could change? Sometimes our purpose comes from our pain, you know?
Our experiences.
It gives us a unique perspective. And then he says, look back on your life. Identify those moments when you felt most alive, most engaged.
What were you doing? Who were you with?
What were the circumstances? Those moments can give you clues
About what lights you up.
and what you're meant to do. And here's the important part. Finding your purpose isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey.
Oh, I like that.
It's about being open to new experiences,
Yep.
trying new things, and constantly asking, what am I here to do?
What difference am I meant to make?
And it's okay if you don't have all the answers right away. Just keep asking the questions.
Stay curious.
Be open to the possibility that your purpose might evolve over time.
It probably will. We're always changing, growing.
And that's the beauty of it, right? Life's an adventure.
Finding our purpose is part of that adventure.
Embracing the unknown, trusting the journey, believing that we're exactly where we're supposed to be right now. So to all our listeners out there, if you're feeling lost, unsure of your direction, you are not alone.
Most of us feel that way at some point.
The important thing is to keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing.
And trust that the answers will reveal themselves.
It's interesting, as we've been talking about moving forward,
Yeah.
it's become clear that this book isn't just about, achieving external success.
Right.
It's about something much deeper.
It really is.
It's about, inner peace,
Yeah.
purpose,
Fulfillment.
fulfillment. Yeah.
Aligning your actions with your values, creating a life that feels authentic.
Yeah, and I think that's what sets it apart from a lot of other, self-help type books.
I agree.
It's not just about setting goals and, achieving things in the traditional sense. It's about, how do you create a life that feels good on the inside?
Right. Yeah.
Pelzer actually talks about how, early in his career, he achieved a lot of external success,
Yeah.
right? His books were bestsellers.
Whoa, yeah.
He was traveling the world, giving speeches, making money,
His dream, right.
but he wasn't happy.
He wasn't.
He wasn't truly happy.
He was going through the motions.
He was going through the motions.
It wasn't fulfilling.
And wasn't aligned with his, deeper values, his purpose.
His purpose.
And that's when he realized, true fulfillment comes from something more
Yeah.
than just achievements.
It's about connecting with something bigger.
Right.
Contributing to something meaningful.
Living a life that feels purposeful. And that's where I think the idea of leadership comes full circle.
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving your own goals. It's about using your influence to help others.
To lift others up.
He actually says that true leadership is about service.
Service, huh?
It's about using your gifts, your talents, to make a positive impact on the world
Make a difference.
and to create a ripple effect
A ripple effect of what?
of kindness and compassion.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He tells this really beautiful story about a young man he mentored who was struggling with addiction.
Oh, wow.
And, Pelzer didn't just offer advice.
Right.
He really walked alongside this young man, offered support, encouragement, and tough love when he needed it.
Yeah, he needed that.
And that young man ended up turning his life around.
He did.
And then he went on to help other people
Wow, that's
who
amazing.
were struggling with addiction.
Paying it forward.
Paying it forward, yeah.
That's powerful.
It's recognizing that we're all connected
Mm,
and our actions have this ripple effect.
it's true.
And it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture,
What, like small acts of kindness?
It can be, yeah.
Okay.
Like a kind word to a stranger, helping a neighbor, donating to a cause you care about.
Yeah.
He actually encourages us to look for those opportunities to make a difference
In everyday life.
in everyday life, yeah.
And those small acts can really make a difference.
It can.
For both people,
yeah.
the giver and the receiver.
He tells a story about a time when he was going through a rough patch,
Okay.
feeling really down,
We all have those times.
and he was walking down the street, and he saw this homeless man begging for money.
Oh, jeez.
And Pilser didn't have any cash on him, but he had a granola bar in his bag.
Oh, wow.
So he gave the granola bar to the man,
A simple act of kindness.
and the man was so grateful.
I bet.
And Pelzer walked away, and he felt this warmth, this connection that he hadn't felt in a long time.
It's amazing how those small things
It can really make a difference.
can shift your whole perspective.
It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference,
Yeah.
no matter what our circumstances are.
It's true. It's true.
And that brings us back to the core message of moving forward.
We should.
It's about becoming the best version of ourselves
Okay.
so that we can contribute to the well-being of others
Make the world a better place.
and create a more positive and compassionate world.
We all have a part to play.
We do.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into moving forward,
Yeah.
what's one small step you can take today
To start moving forward,
in your own life?
it could be reaching out to someone,
Practicing gratitude.
Setting a small goal.
Offering a kind word to a stranger.
Anything, right?
Yeah.
Just take that first step.
You have the power to create the future you want.
It all starts with that first step.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Into Dave Pelzer's Moving Forward.
We hope you've been inspired
To take the lead in your own life.
and create a future filled with purpose.
Have
And
you.
positive impact.
Until next time.
Keep moving forward.